The oldest winery was Armenian, dating back to 4100 BC. The world's oldest bottle of wine was found near a town in Germany. It dates before 325 AD and is on display at the town's historical museum. The oldest known wine cellar is on the Titanic. When divers went down to the wreckage, surprisingly, most of the bottles were still intact. People have been drinking too much wine for centuries. Everything from the Odyssey to the Bible mentions the perils of overconsumption. Toasting was started in ancient Rome when the Romans sustained the Greek tradition. They would drop a piece of toasted bread into the wine glass to soften unsavoury tastes. Drinking to one's health came from ancient Greece. The host of dinner would take the first sip to assure his guests the wine was not poisoned. After being sent to France, Thomas Jefferson brought vine cuttings back to the US. There are three major types of wine: red, white and rosé. There are also different less popular varieties, including orange and even blue. The colour of a wine is determined by the contact that the grape juice has with grape skins. This also impacts the level of tannins. Red wine can only be made from blue or purple skin grapes. White wine can also come from darker grapes, but only if the juice is separated from the skins. Rosé is crafted by allowing the juice to have limited and controlled contact with dark grape skins. Sweet or dessert wine is made from grapes with high sugar content. Fortified wines, such as sherry and port, are made by adding extra alcohol at different stages of the production process. Because grapes produce sugars as they ripen, wines from warmer climates will generally contain more sugar and are stronger than those from cooler regions. The yeast used for fermentation is called brewer's yeast. Wines from Eastern Europe and the Middle East are known as Old World, while others are called New World, which includes the Americas, Australasia, Africa and Asia. European wines often feature the location of production on their labels, while New World wines tend to provide the grape variety. White wines occasionally have harmless diamond-like sediment that are formed when the wine has been stored in the cold. Wines don't have to be made from a single grape variety. Different juices are fermented separately and then combined in what's known as a blend. Sparkling white wine can be made anywhere, but only those grown and bottled in France's Champagne region can call themselves champagnes. Champagne bottles are made from thicker glass to resist the pressure created by carbonation. Champagne gets its bubbles in the bottle. Wine is still when it's bottled, but yeast and sugar are added to the mix, which create the carbon dioxide as they interact over 15 months. Wines are often grafted onto existing roots before being planted in order to protect them from pests. A vintage wine is made only with grapes harvested in the same year. Non-vintage wines are blends of several years' grapes. There are usually 12 bottles in a case of wine. A magnum bottle of wine is the equivalent of 2 standard bottles. It is the optimal size for aging thanks to the reduced space for oxygen. There are around 1,300 varieties of grape that are used to produce wine. The majority of grapevines used for winemaking are variants of the Vitis vinifera species. The most widely planted variety in the world is Cabernet Sauvignon, closely followed by Merlot, Tempranillo and Chardonnay. A 750ml bottle contains about 6 glasses worth of wine, or 12 smaller glasses for tastings, and it's approximately the juice of 600 to 800 grapes. Many wines aren't vegan or vegetarian. A fining agent like egg or fish bladder is used to remove sediment. Tannins are the substance in red wine that give it a bitter, sometimes astringent feel in the mouth. They are transferred to the grape juice when it comes into contact with the skins and seeds early in the winemaking process. Younger red wines are generally more tannic than their older counterparts. As red wines age, they also become lighter in colour. Generally, white wines should be served from 5 to 12 degrees Celsius, while reds should be between 10 and 18 degrees. Experts only fill their wine glasses a third of the way. This leaves plenty of room in the glass for aromas to develop. Swirling a wine glass before tasting aerates the wine and helps to release its aromas. Wine glasses are tulip-shaped, curving inward at the top so that aromas aren't able to escape. Decanting red wine before serving can mimic the aging process, allowing oxygen to flood into the liquid and develop its flavour. Oak brings buttery vanilla flavours to a wine when it is aged in barrels. There are 4 tasting elements to look for when sampling wine: acidity, sweetness, tannins, and alcohol content. Moving the wine around in your mouth when tasting allows all of your taste receptors to fire. Sweetness is detected at the tip of the tongue, bitterness at the back, and sourness on the sides. The majority of wine isn't made to be aged. Experts agree that only around 10% of bottles benefit from aging. Most should be enjoyed within 5 years. Storing wine bottles horizontally is best. It keeps the cork damp and prevents too much air from entering the bottle. Screw caps were popularised by Australian and New Zealand winemakers. Wines sealed by cork still make up 64% of bottles in the world. Storing wine away from direct light and heat preserves their freshness. The tannins in red wine are antioxidants. A glass of red with dinner every night has been shown to reduce the risk of heart disease. And did you know Romans mixed lead with their wine, using it as a sweetener? Wine has no fat or alcohol. Most corks originate from Portugal's cork forests. Vatican City leads the world in wine consumption per capita. Champagne bottles contain more pressure than the tyres of a car. Wine glasses should be held by the stem. This way, your hand does not raise the temperature of the wine. In an experiment, it was found that wine drinkers paid more for wines with hard-to-pronounce names. And someone once made wine out of tent caterpillars. In a blind test, taste tested rated the wine 7 out of 10, saying it tasted similar to grape wine. And remember, National Wine Day is on May the 25th.